And now, more of The Week Went That Way, the best of the John Laws Show.
People will ring up and tell you, yes, palliative care is the ideal thing, and you have this painted picture that, you get palliative care and you more or less just relax and you lay in your bed, you say goodbye to everyone, and then you just nod off and die. It doesn't happen like that. I spent the last 2 months with her, and if you love someone, we were married for 42 years. Now, they provide you a trundle bed. In the end, I propped up some chairs and pillows and sort of slept with her all night, and for the rest of the day there was always a family member there. Now, she was fortunate she had someone there, but can you imagine people that are dying on their own and there's pain and excruciating pain, and in a lot of cases the nurses come around every 2 hours or 4 hours and they say, oh yes, she's resting peacefully. 5 minutes later she's in agony. But they don't know that, and on the chart it says, yes, she's resting peacefully.
Yeah, I know. It's a terrible thing that you have to go through, and I'm very sorry.
Over the last few days,
yes,
we've heard question time again.
Yeah.
And we've seen the Leader of the Opposition thrown out of Parliament and many other politicians thrown out of Parliament over the last little while whilst there's been minority government in power. And to be pretty honest, John, I know a lot of people say, oh, our politicians behave like school kids and all this sort of thing, but really, our politicians don't behave all that badly. If you listen to Prime Minister's questions from the British Parliament and hear the raucous
yeah, I know
one that they put up, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, what about in some of the Asian countries, they get up and biff each other?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, South Korea was a great example where
that's the one. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah. So, really, I think we've just got to sit down and take a little bit of a chill pill, really, and have a good look at ourselves.
Yeah, but a bit of fire and a bit of gesticulation and a bit of shouting, I think's good. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, you can't be mamby-pamby, and if you're angry about something, express your anger.
Do you ever watch The Project?
No.
No. They have a fellow now and then by the name of Steve Price on, who admittedly has a habit sometimes of rubbing people the wrong way because he has very strong views about things. But I noticed...
I used to work with Steve Price, so I know him.
Yeah. But I've noticed when he's on the panel, the rest of the panel members behave, in my eyes, I could have it totally wrong, as if they're school children in a clique. There's such a thing with school children in a clique as bullying by body language and tone of voice and exclusion. And they tend to do that with him. I know he's a big man, he can...
Well, he's not, to the contrary, he's not a big man.
Oh, I mean, he's an adult,
yes,
he can look after himself, not like a school child. But I find it totally unprofessional and rude. Steve
can take care of himself, I'm sure. I had a couple of run-ins with him, which weren't very exciting, I must say. I was terrified at one stage. I thought he was going to reach up to his full height and belt me on the kneecap. In the year to July, a record of 53,900 New Zealanders moved to Australia looking for a better way of life. And who can blame them? I mean, in New Zealand, the unemployment rate's about 6.8%, ours about 5%. In New Zealand, wages are about 20% lower than here. And with the closer economic relations agreement between Australia and New Zealand, the border is absolutely wide open. Now, the terms of agreement work both ways, of course, so if you want to move to New Zealand for some extraordinary reason, you're quite free to do so. But it seems as if all the traffic is one way. New Zealand registering no net arrivals over the past year. I shouldn't laugh, but it's true. In theory, every single one of New Zealand's 4.4 million residents could pack their bags and move to Australia today if they wanted to, a whole damn lot of them. Forget about the burqas and the Sharia law. The real threat seems to be that we could be overrun by people wearing jandals and carrying chully buns. You know what a chully bun is? Esky. Oh, yeah, that's a chili bin, but they call it a chully bun. Oh, you've got to be fluent in New Zealand. Well, if they keep arriving at the rate of 50,000 a year, we'll all have to learn to speak it. Peck, that's to fill a suitcase. Pissed aside, That's a chemical that kills insects. Pigs, that's what you use to hang out the washing. Jungle bills, that's a Christmas carol. Leather, that's that foam stuff produced from soap.
Welcome back to the Fortress of Arrogance. And just a reminder that if your radio's sounding funny in the morning, well, you must be listening to Lawsy in the Morning. It really is a marvellous program, this. Just the combination you're looking for in a radio show in the morning. And, of course, on top of that, it's also keeping the dream alive. We'll come back here to the Fortress in just a few moments.
I love it. Could only be one man, Billy Birmingham. You must have spent half your life listening to Richie because you sound just like him.
Well, I have, Lawsy, and there's just been so much excitement in the air over the last couple of weeks about this fabulous How's That series on Nine, which has been nostalgic for a lot of us, but particularly me, where I hesitate to use the word career, John, as you know, over the years, but I've kind of made something pretty close to a career out of what KP did for the game of cricket, because, if he hadn't reinvented the game with his World Series cricket, there wouldn't have been any 12th man, and I wouldn't have had as much fun as I've had over the years. I was also reminded of my greatest faux pas when Tony Gregg said to me one day, I can't remember, it was early 90s, he said, "I played your album to Kerry in the car." And I said, "Kerry who?" I thought it might have been his girlfriend or his wife or something. He said, "Packer." And I said, "Oh, really? Oh, great. What did he think?" He said, "Oh, he laughed his arse off. He thought it was marvellous." so that was good feedback to get from KP. And I know that James Packer's always been a bit of a 12th man fan.
Oh, he sure is.
Lawsy, was that every time they interview Richie, and you've done it many times, he says, "Look, I think Billy's done a pretty good job. He's a clever guy, but I don't like all of the swearing on his records. I don't use that sort of language, nor do any of my fellow commentators." I wonder if he was ever tempted to say, "Kerry, any chance of backing off on the F-bombs there?" Because I've always said, when people have mentioned that to me, I said, well, that's a very funny thing for Richie to say, because really, if you are offended by the odd four-letter word, you don't hang around cricket circles.
And you don't hang around Kerry Packer.
Oh, that's right. I mean, a lot of people's criticism of the show was that there were too many F-bombs, but it would appear that you couldn't accurately portray the man unless you had all of his conversations liberally sprinked with the F-bombs.
Listen, when did you realise that you had this ability to mimic people?
It was... Look, I used to make my dad laugh in the lounge room, John, back in the old days of Jackie Gleason Show and Red Skelton Show and all those shows that he used to watch. I remember as an 8-year-old getting a big thrill out of making him laugh by doing my impersonations of the people on TV. And then that kind of naturally followed through to school, where all of the teachers I impersonated, I'd have a teacher ask me a question, and I would stand up in front of 40 other guys and answer the question in his voice. And he was oblivious to the fact. And he was wondering, what's everyone laughing at? Birmingham just gave me a sensible answer, and why is everyone laughing? Because he was oblivious to the fact that I was mimicking him in giving my answer. So it's just something that I've always done, and I was able to parlay it into something that resembles a career in 1984, all those years ago.
Well, it is that I must leave you now. Have a wonderful weekend. Try and love somebody. Thanks for listening, and you be kind to each other.